The Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. They clean up nicely. It's the Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. Yeah, they clean up nicely. Yeah.
Hello, welcome out to another episode of the Drew and Fuse Show. I am Fusemania from Cincinnati, Ohio.
And I am Drew Pierce from Long Beach, California. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Yes, thank you for tuning in. I am good. Been kind of a whirlwind of a week with everything going on with the bar and podcasts and Reds games and all that kind of stuff. You were just in town and you've were here, you were in Lexington, you were in Milwaukee, now you're back home, and it's just been a lot.
The party don't stop until I walk in, as Kesha said.
Right.
Basically that's my life. Yeah, shit is whack, and I'm ready for Kesha to take over and make it better again.
I never thought I would hear Kesha quoted ever in my life. Guess now that that's over, we can move along. You know what? Speaking of Kesha, I've heard she enjoys beards. And, speaking of beards, I've heard that if you use the promo code DAFS at BriggsBeardCompany.com, you can get 20% off your order. It'll save you 20% off your order, that promo code DAFS. So if you're in the market for some beard product, make sure you check out BriggsBeardCompany.com. Use promo code DAFS. Get you 20% off. Also, what are you waiting for? You can use the promo code Drew and Fuse Show. It'll get you 30% off your first month of activation at directmusicservice.com. If you're a DJ and you're in the market for a new DJ pool, or you want to try something fresh, try something new, some new edits out, make sure you go over to directmusicservice.com and use the promo code Drew and Fuse Show. Get 30% off your first month of activation. We have a new sponsor. When I say new, we have these lights. Drew, you want to tell us a little bit about these lights?
We had Rick Webb on the podcast here recently, and he, one is the man. He's crushing it. If you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to that episode. But these lights I just got a whole bag of these, and let me tell you, I'm really, really hyped on these. We are now have a Drew and Fuse Show affiliate code for both Lighting USA. I mean, this light right here, I'm going to be testing it, but you can see them in the background. Are going to be lighting up my studio. This is the new kind of Ape Lab knockoff, and it's bright. The menu on it is incredible. I just can't speak enough about how hyped I am on these. Oh,
they're so tiny.
I'm gonna have to post a picture, but I have the Chauvet light, and I have four of them stacked to one of the Chauvet lights, and this is going to probably be taking over my entire lighting collection. I'm going to be buying a whole collection of them. But Drew and Fuse Show is now a direct affiliate. You can go on there, you can help the show out. You can click the link that we're going to be providing and help the show out.
Yeah, so if you click the link below in the description, if you are interested in uplighting, there's a couple things. One, if you buy 16 or more, there's a discount that gets applied if you buy them. It doesn't help you out, but it does help the show out. But I will say these are very reasonably priced for what they are. And also, you can buy 8. In a set of 8 comes with a charging case. So if you want the ease of using the charging case, if you buy a set of 8, you can get the option of it coming with a charging case. Or if you don't want the charging case, you can buy 4. They come in black and white, so you can pick whatever color suits your needs the best, which is awesome.
Just to be clear, this is not the only light they have. This is they have a moving heads, they have sparks, there's a whole thing. So it's what you're going to do is you're going to type into your web browser bothlightingusa.com/DAFS/DAFS, and that's going to get you basically onto our affiliate code, and this is what's going to help you help the show out. And then once you click on that link and you do that, it gives you 30 days to buy something. So hey, we appreciate it. We're just trying to keep getting super high quality segment videos for you guys, and those aren't free. So
make sure you click the link below in the description if you're interested in some uplighting. They are very reasonably priced for what they are. Like I said, if you buy 16 or more, it does discount. You do get a discount on the bulk sales, and like I said, you can buy them in black or white. Also, if you guys haven't, make sure you check out the Club Cannon link below. It'll get you $25 off a purchase of $250 or more. We love Club Cannon products. We both use them at our gigs all the time. If you want to turn your party up to an 11, make sure you go over to Club Cannon and use that link in the description below. Also, one last thing. We have this YOLO line. We love when people call in. It's 562-246-YOLO. If you guys haven't left us a voicemail yet, make sure you do that. We do have some voicemails today. I'm going to air. Let's just get right into it. I'm going to air them. Here we go.
Hey gosh, is this the Drew Infused YOLO line? Like, you only live once line? This is Rob Ferre. You guys, I just saw Drew Pierce in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was amazing. He DJ'd and stuff, and he had music videos. But if anything, the highlight of what I saw Drew do was play DuckTales. It was amazing. You only live once, folks. So if you're going to live once, you're going to play DuckTales in front of a bunch of DJs. Do it. Be bold like Drew Pierce. Also, I saw this guy. His name's Even Steve. He's even better in person. And he's stevier as well. He's got long hair and a beard. He's cool looking. I can't grow long hair and beards either. You guys, Drew Infused Show's the best. Also, shout out to my boy Phrase. He made a song for me. It's called Hip Hop Hooray. It's going to be a #1 track. I use it as my walk-up song. Here's to you, Phrase. Oh, and Fuse, I'm going to be in Ohio. Do you want to join me at Kings Island on Saturday? That sounds like a lot of fun. Drew Infused Show forever. YOLO.
What is up, Drew and Fuse? It's the one and only DJ Demand. DJ Demand. And yeah, it's been a while, man. I just wanted to check in, see how you guys are doing. I got a quick question for you, but hold on, I'm getting a call waiting. Just hold on 1 second. I'm gonna have to take this. I'll call you guys back. Hey guys, it's Demand again. Sorry about that. It was somebody calling about my solar panels. I just wanted to hear them out, see what they had to say. Anyway, yeah, so I have a question. I loved the latest episode with Eric Rhodes. One of these days you're going to have to explain to me what this new TikTok thing is all about. But I loved what you guys had to say, especially you guys are always talking about the travel. I know it's a big part of the show and a big part of his life and everything. I love the tips and all that. But I have a question for you. So, we can all agree, all of us, you Drew, you Fuse, that, people that plan destination weddings are a pain in the ass, right? So, my question to you would be, let's just say, I don't know, we'll use the Florida Keys, for example. Let's say you're planning a wedding at the Florida Keys. How much should I charge this, annoying, difficult client, to do their wedding? Should I double the charge? Should I triple it? Should I charge 4 times? Fuse, this is really directed towards you. I'm curious what you have to say. Just randomly picking one of you guys. But let me know what you guys think, because I got this client, I really just, I want to make as much money as possible off of them. So, yeah, could use some advice. Thanks a lot, guys. Looking forward to your answer. Talk to you soon.
Well, those are the YOLO line calls. And to answer the first one, Rob Frey, we appreciate you so much. I am so happy you're going to be in Cincinnati. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go to the Kings Island with you. But if you didn't notice, I did have pictures of the Brady Bunch enjoying Kings Island when you talked about Kings Island. So if anybody is listening and wants to see pictures of the Brady Bunch at Kings Island, you can go watch the show on YouTube and see that. And then we have DJ Demand talking about destination weddings. And it's crazy that he asked that question because I'm having a destination wedding in the Keys of all places. To answer, his question about what he should charge, if it was me, I'd do it for free.
Yeah, I think so. Free. That being said, to add on to man doing it for free, because that's awfully generous of him, we are throwing out into the ether because it's early enough, is we need somebody with a production company that has speakers that is
Yeah.
willing to work for a Drew Infused show shirt, maybe? Is that good?
Anything that we need. If somebody out there listening knows anybody in Key West, I'm getting married in Key West, looking to have Demand DJ the wedding. This is kind of putting him on the spot. Now, if he doesn't, all the listeners are going to be super sad. We need a gear rental down there, and nobody really knows of anybody in our circle right now. And I'm sure there is somebody. We just haven't found that somebody yet. So if you guys know anybody that's renting gear in Key West, please let Drew or myself know.
I'll extend it. If you're a fan of the show and you want to drive down from Florida, set up the gear for the all-star DJ Demand, then that might be on the platter. So we will tell you, if you are interested and you want to get a free shirt, then we're looking for you. So help us out and we'll help you out.
We're going to jump right into it today. We got a great guest for you guys. He's held many residencies around the United States and played at notable clubs such as Excess, Hyde, Intrigue, Tao, One Oak, Live, Dare, and many, many more. He's got his own podcast that he's been hosting since 2018. It's called the My Favorite DJ Podcast. He was a part of the production duo Discotheque in its newer rendition with Joe Maz. He's forming his own DJ agency and still DJing all over. Please help us welcome DJ Konflikt.
Wow, that was fast. Hey, guys.
Hey. We're just jumping right into it today, so we don't want to waste any time for you, or we know you're busy, and we appreciate you taking the time to be here with us.
Thank you for having me on.
How has life been for you? It seems like, post-pandemic, you've kind of changed things up a little bit. I've noticed that you're staying more local, not completely local, but you're doing a lot more stuff around the Miami area, Florida area versus before when you were traveling a lot.
Yeah, actually, pre-pandemic, I had almost every weekend, if not every weekend, on the road, and I was flying to multiple cities, Friday and Saturday, sometimes weekdays as well. What I realized after doing that for maybe 3 or 4 years on a consistent basis was that I had kind of hit a ceiling in regards to energy expenditure and income coming in. So I wanted to get off the road. Also, I had my daughter's 6 years old now, and at the time when I wanted to get off the road, she was maybe like 2, 3. And I never wanted to have a battle with her about why are you leaving town again? And add to the fact that I have a realistic view of what it is to travel, to be a traveling DJ. And I know that it doesn't last forever for anyone, unless you're fashion, I guess, because he's still going. It's not something that I see as a possibility for people as they get older. So I wanted to get off the road, but I never had an opportunity because the money just kept coming, the gigs kept coming, everything kept happening. And then COVID hit, and then it was like everything's off. And so that gave me the window to be able to stop everything. I switched my away from the management company or the booking agency I was on, and I focused more on a local set of gigs and a local trajectory more so than the out of town stuff, and which is what I wanted to do for a while. But I didn't have that window until COVID actually hit. So professionally, it was a great benefit. And although I'm making a lot less money, I have a lot more time at home, and the value exchange is optimal for me in that sector.
Well, they say time is money, right? I mean, I've been on the road I actually did the opposite of you. I was staying at home, and then COVID hit, and in California, basically, we were unable to work. So then I had to start traveling to go to states that were open. You're in Florida, so you were able to just stay home, right? And all your guys' clubs were thriving, which is amazing. That was the huge benefit, I think, to be able to be in a state that allowed you to be home.
Yeah, I was lucky to be in Florida. And it wasn't all like, oh, hey, everything's still open. No, there was a time where things were closed, but we opened faster, I think, than everyone else. And what Florida did is they basically said, if you don't want to get sick, don't go out.
Yeah, I'm glad that's kind of all behind us now. But it seems like, you're still working a lot, and, you're playing a lot of quality gigs, and then you're still taking some out of town stuff. And what's your kind of thought process with just the out of town gigs you are taking? Are you just taking the ones that are willing to throw you the amount of money you want, or is it just more based on relationships and, gigs you like doing?
So it's a mixture of all of those factors. The first thing that I started to do, because calls did start coming during the pandemic when everything was down, and the first thing I did was just say, hey, look, I like my life as it is now. I'm waking up early. I'm cooking breakfast. I'm washing dishes. I am doing daddy daycare. Like, this is great. I'm a morning person, and I never knew it. Every day of my 20s, I was waking up at noon or 2 o'clock, and I didn't realize that if I go to sleep at 9:30, 10 o'clock, I can wake up at 7 and have a full day, and that was amazing. So the calls started coming in, and I thought to myself, all right, so what's going to be my line here? And the line was, if it's a relationship that I enjoy and somebody that I want to work with, I'll accept a fair market rate. If it's something that I want to do, I'll accept the fair market rate. If it's something that's kind of a burden, then I need there to be an incentive that goes beyond, I like to work. It has to be monetary compensation. So one of the things that I did bake into some of my agreements were that I have to play both Friday and Saturday if it's a longer trip. So if I'm going to go play Boston, which is about a 3-hour flight from Miami, I'll do one day. But if I have to fly for more time than that, then I need both Friday and Saturday to leave. And that way I get paid for both days, both weekend days, and it makes the travel worth it. So there's that. And then a relationship like specifically Boston is somebody, there's a dude there named Joe who is awesome. And whatever he needs of me, he's like, hey, I need this, I need that. I have this day open. Can you please help me with this? And to the best of my ability, I'll do that because of the relationship.
That makes sense, because I noticed you were doing, I think the spot's called Junction, where you were there Friday and Saturday. So that kind of makes sense now as to why you're doing both nights there.
I specifically asked for it. I said, hey, man, like for me to get to Lincoln, Nebraska, which is really dope, and like they party and they get down, and it's a great venue. And the guy that's there, his name's Ben, and the owner's Chris, and they're awesome, really awesome people. We can have a phone call and hang out on the phone for a while. We don't have to be in person, but there's something there where they're like, hey, we want the best DJs from around the country. You're one of the guys. You're one of our guys. Like, come over. And I'm like, look, can we do a Friday and Saturday? So I did incentivize, and I said, look, we'll do a Miami Invades, and I did create like a little PDF, like a pitch deck, where I said, look, we'll get these kind of glasses and inflatable flamingos, and we'll have lifeguard gear and inflatable sharks hanging from the roof, something to incentivize, because I'm not just going to say, book me both Friday and Saturday, because if not, I'm not going. Like, that's kind of rude. So I did add a little bit of sauce to the plate for them to be able to bite on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And how many nights, when you're staying local, how many nights a week are you doing right now?
I mostly work just Friday and Saturday now.
Just Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
That's so
Post-pandemic,
nice.
that's pretty much what I'm doing as well. The occasional third day here and there, but that's pretty much it. And it's been great. I want to run this segment video. Drew and I have these really, really high quality segment videos. I don't know if you're familiar with them. So
yeah, your intro is amazing.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
These are not that, but these are super high quality. So, so I'm going to run this video real quick, and then we'll talk a little bit about music.
The hills are alive with the sound of music, with songs they have sung for 1,000 years. The hills fill my heart with the sound of music. The mountains look like boobies. My heart wants to sing every song it hears. The mountains look like boobies.
All right, there's Arnold singing the song Sounds of Music, and we're going to talk a little bit about music here.
It looks so real and just like creepy at the same time.
Do you have a favorite remixer or producer? And that doesn't have to stick with the DJ world.
Yeah, I like Joe Maz. It's probably my favorite.
Shout out Joe Maz.
Champagne. She does the double time Jersey stuff. She's had some pretty good ones. And I think there's a dude named T Mark or Mark T. I'd have to look it up on my Serato. Hold on. T Mark. Yeah, super great remixes there too. But I would say Joe would be in first place, and the other two are in second place.
Now, are the
All right,
other
yeah.
guys Patreon based, or are they on a pool?
I get their stuff on pools.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's make sure to look out for it.
I play a ton of Joe's stuff. Been in and out of his Patreon recently. Always making good quality stuff for sure. If you had a theme song that followed you everywhere you went, supermarket, into the gym, and it played every time you walked through the door, what would it be?
Well, I would definitely wouldn't want it to be super annoying because if everyone has to listen to it all the fucking time, can I curse?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the way, man.
Just checking. If everyone had to listen to it all the time, I wouldn't want it to be super annoying. I think I like James Bond because it's got that bass at the beginning.
Wow.
So
good.
So it's like tame, but if it needs to get crazy, it goes into the big, the orchestra section. Like,
Yeah, perfect.
I have a little spoiler. If you guys watched the latest James Bond, did you watch the newest one?
the last time he's playing the James Bond, the guy.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
At the very intro, the intro always plays where he shoots whoever is like down the barrel. Well, it flips on that last one.
Right,
Where it goes red instead. So it's kind of like that foreshadowing that, spoiler alert, he dies.
Dang.
Pretty cool.
Well,
I thought it was
thanks for
a cool
ruining
little
it.
foreshadow. Well, I love movies, so I just thought I found that out after the fact. So I thought it was like a cool little movie thing,
I've never even watched, I think, any of the latest James Bonds, like Pierce Brosnan and up. I don't think I've watched any of them. So,
Oh, dude. Daniel Craig's awesome, man. You have a favorite
he was-
Bond conflict?
As you asked that question, all I thought about was Sean Connery talking to Barbara Walters, where she asks him about hitting women. You guys ever see that clip?
No, I've not seen it either.
So James Bond was played by Sean Connery. At some point in his career, this guy goes, sometimes when a woman's talking too much, you just have to give her one time, and that settles them. And so Barbara Walters is interviewing Sean Connery, who's now deceased, and she goes, "Do you remember the time where you said that sometimes a woman can just take one and then she quiets down?" And like a gotcha question, right? He's gonna be like, "Oh, well, you know what I meant." He goes, "Yes, I remember, and I stand by it." And she goes, "Really?"
Oh my god, I'm going to look that up, dude.
That popped in my head when you asked me who my favorite James Bond was. So I don't know how to answer that question.
You do a pretty good Sean Connery there too.
Oh, thank you. I've been practicing just for this show.
I figured as much.
We need to. I wish we could add the Sean Connery in. I don't remember what he was for, but we had a good Sean Connery segment too.
Yeah, kind of like the Arnold one. But all right. So what is go-to? I know it's situational, but you can name a couple. If the dance floor is clearing and you want to play a song that brings them back, what is something that's a go-to?
Nah, buddy. If the dance floor is clearing, there's got to be a real big reason for that. The first thing I do is get on the microphone and be like, "What the fuck is going on out there? What are you guys doing?"
Somebody farted.
If the dance floor is clearing, I know exactly what's happening. It's probably, and it's situational entirely, because if I'm playing too much hip hop in the hip hop clutch dance floor, then I got to switch up it would be like, all right, let's play some EDM or something else, or whatever the situation might call for. If I'm playing too much house music and the dance floor starts to, clearing is so extreme. I don't think I've ever had that happen, with the exception of the only thing I can think of that comes close is a spot in Sacramento that is like an upstairs. I think it's called Mix downtown, and it's upstairs. It's a deck, and it's like open air. It's a really dope spot, and they dance and they like to party. But if you play a song that they don't like or something whack happens, they all kind of just slow down or just like start moving towards the bar. They let you know immediately that you like messed up. And I love that. I think that's a fantastic real-time metric of how well you're doing. And I realized maybe I played something. I don't know what it was, man. Maybe I had a thing, just as an example, and I don't think this is it exactly, but I might have had like a springboard, like a Justin Bieber record that goes into something more gangster, because I like dichotomy of things. Like I like playing like something that might be really, for example, Beyonce's Irreplaceable, where she comes in to the left, everything you own on a box to the left, right. That piece of that song when Migos came out with Fight Night at the beginning, he's like, broke stand to the left. That little piece, I would do a little word play with them. And whenever I played that Beyonce record, people would like look up and go, "What are you doing? Like, we're trying to have fun. It's a party. Like, we don't want to hear this sad song, whatever." But then the other one comes in, and it's like, "Oh, we get it." So I might have tried something at this spot, mixed downtown, with like a Justin Bieber record jumping into something else, and everyone was just like, record stop. We don't care for this. Don't do that. That's as close as it's gotten. So long-winded. I guess all my answers are long-winded. Sorry, but the situational.
Yeah.
No, keep them coming. And I almost feel like for anybody that's been on IG and you've seen that, the swag surfing and the guys playing the Beach Boys, and the whole crowd is just like so sad. And then he puts on swag surfing and you just see the whole place come rushing and going in. No, that's what it instantly reminds me of. That's your style. And I'm wondering if you throughout the course of the event, just they catch on. Does that make sense?
I don't think they do, because the swerves are swerves, and if they catch on, then they're not swerves.
Well, do they catch on that that's your style, and then that something cool is going to happen afterwards? I mean, I'm not talking about just that venue. I'm talking about like any venue or just in general. You know what I mean?
I would say that that's a piece of my style, and it's not definitely. They're not all like I'm setting up something with something else and setting up something with something else. But I don't think so, because I think that the initial reaction when you're in a kind of a nightclub environment, when your senses are overloaded, it's kind of visceral. You're dancing, you're sweating, you're drinking, you're partying, you're having a good time. Your brain doesn't have a moment to process and say, well, he's been doing this kind of thing all night. Let's give this a chance. Why is he playing Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas in July? No, they just immediately go to, boo, what is going on? We don't like this.
Right.
I don't think there's that. Yeah.
I remember one time I was hanging out with my brother at a mega club, and this was earlier in my career, and I had just gotten off, and I was like, oh, this DJ is really good. He's like, I haven't heard one song he's played yet, but that girl's really hot. And I'm like, that helps me so much in my career moving forward, because I'm like, I'm going to stop overthinking too much of this stuff, right? It's like, get those really impactful moments and, have the rest like speak for itself.
So circling back around on that, what are a few songs that you like to play that are like something that you might play frequently all the time?
All the time. I like Say Ah by Trey Songz. It's a good little springboard. I have like an acapella out. It's a good mid-tempo record, like 94 BPM. So if I'm coming from lower BPMs, or if I'm coming from like higher top of the 90s, I can use it as kind of a springboard with an acapella outro to go into reggae or dance hall, or some sort of a different drum pattern, so it's not too much of a shock to the system. That's a record. I won't play it every night, but it's a record that I'll use for that. What else? Right? The Motto with Lil Wayne and Drake. I play a lot. I've been playing a lot of the Bruno Mars. The That's What I Like. Is that the right title?
Mm-hmm.
Playing that. But I cycle through things. I think I played like In the Club by 50 Cent every time I DJ'd between like 2004 and 2013, and then I just stopped playing it one day.
We've been talking to a bunch of DJs, and us as me and Fuse, at least as producers, or like editors, if you will, for a site, we aren't using stems to its fullest. And you mentioned acapella outs. Are you moving more towards stems and not re-editing some of these things and just having like a stem of it, or would you still like re-edit it with the acapella out?
So I'm a huge fan of the stems. I was critical of Serato DJ when it first came out, and I would complain about it publicly because it was a professional platform that I felt like should have been better. There were so many bugs, and I doing this for a living as a professional DJ, I don't have time for the program that I use to be glitching out and bugging out and doing weird things. So I was hypercritical of them, but I will be very positive when they do great things. And I think Stems has been really, really great. The idea is fantastic. I don't think the technology is there for me to use it like all the time, specifically because the acapella still sounds like a DIY, a little bit muddy, probably a little bit less clear quality than if you were to do it yourself on a Ableton or a Pro Tools. So eventually the iterations will get to the point where the technology is good enough and it's going to sound fantastic, and computers are only getting faster. I have my M1 that I'm on right now, and this MacBook has been better than my 2015 Retina that was like the workhorse stable computer. So I like it. I use it a little bit, and sometimes I'll get ideas on the fly, and it's kind of clunky to be able to like, oh, I have to drop this into the thing because if I just hit the microphone and just go to acapella, it's not going to work properly. The music cuts out. It gets a little weird. So I know that it's the first iteration of the technology. They're only going to make it better. And I'm a big fan of it. I think that it adds a lot of ability. And what it does more so than anything else is if I have an idea on the fly and I want to incorporate it, I don't have to wait to get home and maybe forget about what was I going to do with this acapella and this other song. It's like I can do it all there. And if it sounds good, I make a memory snapshot of it and then just keep doing that in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I haven't been using the stems that much. One, I just like to play really, really clean, and I think sometimes the stems don't allow that. You know, it's just kind of like even getting into it and getting out. Like I don't like the little bits and pieces of like I missed this here and that there, and I just don't personally. I don't like that. So that's my reason for not being on stems really. But I think it's cool as well. I think that it's gonna be awesome in probably shorter amount of time than we think.
Right.
Are you guys just live dropping it in and then having it read it to where it does it if you do use it at all? I haven't used it at all, so I guess I'm kind of asking naively if I wanted to. Do I drop it into the stems folder and then it's able to split it up and then I could use it?
It's like I do like 2 or 3 fail-safe checks because again, this is like when I'm working and I want to make sure that everything sounds clean and neat, like Fuse mentioned. So what I'll do is I will drop it into the little stems bar where the library is at, and then I will test the microphone real quick. But I'll like also sonically be monitoring for like a natural break in the song, so it doesn't sound like the music cut off if I hit the microphone and it's not ready. So I'll give it maybe like 10, 15 seconds, and then I'll hit the microphone and see if I can get an acapella straight up. And if I can, then I know it's ready to go, and then I can implement the process I want to go forth with.
Makes sense.
One of the questions that I wanted to talk about a little bit is just, you know, when you're playing some of the same spots and you're coming back and, you know, like you mentioned, like a Boston or Junction, what is your process and keeping things fresh? Like, how do you like, or do you feel that people don't remember? Like you can just kind of go in and wing it and do your thing, or do you prep, or how do you keep things fresh when you're playing the same spots over and over?
So I don't think people remember to answer that specific question. Specific places sometimes we'll record, or I'll record my set. Like I remember when I played at Junction, Ben had set up a recorder and I saw it and I'm like, oh, we're recording tonight. He's like, yeah, buddy, I want to, you know, make sure that we got a record of this and show it to other DJs to show them how to play the room. I'm like, okay. So now I know I'm recorded. Now that was maybe a year ago. I highly doubt that I'm going to do the same thing I did back then just because music changes. It's a 2-hour set. Maybe I might do, for example, 3 or 4 moments where the song strings are the same, maybe 2 songs or 3 songs together that'll be the same as that time. But then there will be enough new music where it's like almost like a signature. It's like, oh yeah, look, you did the thing you did last time, but oh, you switched this up and you did that over there and there's enough new things in there to be able to move. And also the crowd kind of dictates where I go and what I do. So every night the crowd's different. And if I notice, for example, if somebody plays, the opener plays something in Boston and there's a Brazilian break and I see somebody, you know, a table getting hype and I notice that there might be Brazilian people, I'm like, oh, there's a section that I wouldn't have touched if I hadn't noticed that. So now I can go into the Buy the Funk stuff and play a couple things, get them rowdy. And then I know what that section wants. I know what GA is going to do. And I know, you know, kind of how to navigate the rest of the night. So everything's dependent entirely on the variables that are presented on the night that I'm playing.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great. One of the things that we do is a lot is Serato Top 5, where we talk about your most played songs in Serato. If you want to do it, cool. If not, cool.
I have my Serato open. Can I? Does it show here?
Yeah, you can. If you go to the all folder and then
Nice.
and you can sort by most played.
Yeah, this is definitely weird, but I'll give you the top ones here.
Even if you know one's not right, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, this
You
is
can
definitely
skip
not
it.
right. The first one is probably right, which I've been playing, is a Rich Flex with Drake and 21 Savage.
Okay.
Yep.
The next one is Unholy with Sam Smith. And then after that, these songs I don't even play, so I don't know.
Well, maybe skip a little bit and see if there's something that
Uh,
makes a little bit more
so
sense.
Doja, the Kodat remix.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That one's fantastic. I love that remix that Kodat did. Super talented remixer, which I want to add to my list of remixers now that I think about it.
All right.
Noted.
I have Big Energy by DJ PS1, who's a buddy, and The Boy's a Liar. Pink
Oh,
Panther.
that's up there, huh?
Okay. Yeah.
It's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's been a tough one for me. Like I sometimes play it and people care, and then I play it and sometimes they don't care.
I've been
But I feel-
struggling how to set it up and follow it. I'm just like, I don't know. It's bringing back happy hardcore. We keep talking about it. It's like the Magic Mountain theme of
Well, I made an edit to that song. So I make edits of almost everything that I play. Probably like 90% of my things. They're tailored specifically to my set. So I have a version of it here what I did is I sped it up to 140 from 130. And then it's got like double time drums. And I played it. And at first I was like, when you first play something that I don't really listen to that song, I watch for reactions. And when I saw 3 or 4 girls singing along to the specific breaks in the song, I'm like, okay, it works. So that was my indication. Most of my music is edited specifically to what I do.
I'm the exact same way, and I know Fuse is the same way as well. And I cue point the crap out of it and retag everything like way too much. Are you a big Smart Crate user too?
No, I don't use
top of
smart
that?
crates. What's the benefit of a smart crate?
I think it's the most benefit from it is if you're somebody who really tags your library very well. Like if you use keywords type words on a song, because then you can use a smart crate to search. Like let's say you have everything's labeled correctly and like all your 80s music, and you're gonna do an 80s party, and you just set up a smart crate and you can search for all your 80s music. Or let's say you had a tag that just said like fire, and anytime you like played songs that you thought were fire, and you wanted to put those all in one crate, you could pull them in there.
Well, I do something similar to that. What I do is I just open up the comment in Serato, and then I'll remember whatever that is. So like I recently started doing one that's called a Jersey Double. For example, if I type in Jersey Double, all the Jersey and double time songs that kind of are new and fit in there will come up. And as I'm playing them, I'll just like type into the comment. I'm like, oh, that's double time. I got to type that in. So there's specific genres that I'll do, and then I build my own smart crates in that way.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a similar way of using it, essentially.
Yeah, tagging really well is really what adds to the smart crates. Where you can go absolutely crazy with it is you can say does not include or between these BPMs set, and it kind of curates it all to that. So if you wanted to get really curated with it, you could type all those like those keywords and metadata of like year and BPMs into it, and it narrows it down a little bit more.
Cool.
Like bass house versus dance music or something, like I don't know, whatever.
I think if you just do the keywords, it's really just as beneficial. That's the extent I'm really doing it is the keywords and putting it in comments, or I put it in genres. So it's just as it's the move for sure.
You've been doing your podcast now for a while. How often are you putting out episodes? Tell us a little bit about what you're doing with that.
Well, I should be doing it weekly. Sometimes I feel a little bit of resistance, and it's I'll do it later, and a lot of other life stuff gets in the way. I really just make excuses for myself in my head, and then just don't get it done, which is a bummer because it's cathartic. It's almost like therapy when I start talking about work stuff. So my ideal schedule would be one a week, but I think I've been doing something like one every 2 weeks, at least once a month. Yeah, that schedule, it should get better. It should improve more.
No, it's good. We get what you mean, because we do this once a week, and we've been putting them out now, and it's a lot, especially with East Coast, West Coast time in the mix, and then you add the guest in there, and it becomes a whole thing. At least, with what you're doing, a lot of times you do just your own, correct?
Yeah,
kind of chatting.
But it's kind of not to bury myself even deeper, but like it's just easy as picking up the recorder and grabbing the microphone and just talking. Like I don't have a a big setup. There's no one I have to wait on. There's no time. I can do it anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
And the reason why I used to be more frequent was because when I would travel on the weekends, the podcast gear was in my bag. So I'd show up to a hotel, and if I wasn't super sleepy, I'd just turn it on, record a podcast, go to bed, and then wake up, do the gig, and I had something on the memory card to work on for later.
Maybe some of our listeners that aren't following, which you should definitely go out and follow. It's My Favorite DJs podcast. What's some of the topics that you cover, at least over the last couple of years?
I guess my most recent favorite one was I talked about details. Part of the reason why I came up with this concept for this management company, a DJ management company that's going to be launching hopefully by June. We'll have the website up. The developers are actually working on it now. Was the fact that 3 to 5 times a week I speak to DJs, and it's a very similar question. Like in the last 2 or 3 days, I've gotten 2 different questions via DM, and I answer everything. I answer every DM, and there's sometimes the questions are very intricate, and even if I don't know the person, I'll give them my phone number and say, call me and we'll talk. And I'll spend 45 minutes or an hour speaking to an individual and helping them out and guiding them as best I can with their specific question. Like, for example, I got a question from a DJ in Africa who was like, hey man, I got this venue that doesn't let me play at venue B, and venue B wants me to play. They pay 3 times as much as venue A. I'm afraid I'm going to lose venue A if I play venue B. Other DJs play venue B. They don't let me do it. What should I do? Right. And so like now I have to, figure out the best course of action for this guy who's entrusting me with the best piece of advice. And, I give him the best advice that I can. And so part of what the agency is going to do is it's going to have a piece. The agency is going to be dedicated to guidance, to coaching, to giving people that push that they need and the answers that they might be seeking. So at some point in the future, when someone messages me and goes, hey, what's the advice on this thing? I'm going to say, are you signed up to our agency? And if they're not, then I'm going to say, I have no problem answering your question, but we have to get you signed up. And so that's a little bit of a teaser and a little tidbit. I'm not going to give all the information on what's going to be like, oh, it's the whole thing. But there's going to be that kind of access. What was the original question?
I love that.
Oh, so the detail, my favorite podcast that I've put out recently, details. Because of these questions that come up so frequently, I put out a podcast that's maybe 45 minutes long on how to dissect what you want from a very general and fleeting, almost atmospheric idea. I want a headline. It's like, whoa, that's a great thing if you want to do that. So now, specifics, right? Where do you want a headline? Major clubs. All right. Again, more specific. I want to headline a major club in Vegas. Okay, which one? Well, I don't know. Whichever one will have me. No. Let's say, for example, if you have a DJ in Cincinnati, Ohio, that wants to DJ a club in Vegas. It's like, okay, which one? Oh, I want to DJ at Daylight Pool. All right, now you have a venue, right? That's good. Now you can draw. Now you have specifics where you can draw on the map from Cincinnati, Ohio to Daylight Pool. There's a direct line, right? What does that path look like, and how do you get from that point to that point? And then, I'll ask another question like, what day do you want to work there? Oh, whatever day will happen. He's like, what day do you want to work there? Right? Different promoters, right. Different music, different marketing teams, right? If you want Saturday, it's probably prime time. If you go for an off day Sunday, it might be slightly easier. It's like, all right, I want to play in Las Vegas at Daylight Pool on a Sunday. Now you have a specific and detailed target where you can start working backwards to the point you're at now, from there to the point you want to get to. And that's why details are important, because if you don't dissect, bring down, and boil it to the lowest common denominator, what you have is an idea, is a dream. I want a headline. We have no path.
All right.
But have you always been so detail oriented, or is this something that you've learned and made yourself be more paying attention to, as you've gotten older within your career?
Yeah, definitely something that I specifically this idea of the details and like boiling it down and rendering to the lowest possible, smallest idea is specifically because I was answering the same question all the time from so many different people. Yeah. And so when I found myself giving the same answer over and over and over, I was like, wow, this is really like a common theme out there in the world, that people don't have specifics baked into what they want to do. And so that was that specific piece. Earlier in my career, what I would do is do the best work that I could, listen to other DJs and try to be better than them by so far that the bookers had no choice but to say, we need to have you back. So that was my detail specifically, was just be better than everyone else by so much that they will give you money. From there, I was, I guess, able to expand that idea to other things. It's like, okay, so then where do I want to work? What do I want to do? How much do I want to make? And then specificity came into play after I was already kind of established. I guess that's the best I can give you on that one.
And a lot of this is in Miami, which is a super competitive market, and you're seeing a lot of people come in and out. Are you going against the residents, or are you talking about the big headliners? You want to get even better than them?
When I was coming up, there were no big headliners. So
Okay.
2004, 5, 6, it was just Miami. There wasn't a lot of traveling going on. There was some, not DJs didn't start to visit till like 2007 or 8 from out of town here. And whenever there was there wasn't a big act. The big thing would be having a celebrity host. So you would have Eve come by and celebrity host. You would have Ludacris perform at Mansion. You would have David Banner come by and host or perform a song. Like, there was no headlining DJs. That the EDM thing hadn't happened yet, and there wasn't a mixture of music to the point where you could have a Daft Punk or whoever, David Guetta was put out his first album in 2005. There was no one. No, so it was basically competition against whatever I heard, and it wasn't like on a personal level, like, oh, I'm going to be better than you. No, it was just, I want to push myself to be better than the things that I'm hearing locally. And that is really what gave me an edge in the open marketplace once I got there.
How do you feel now, as where you're at in your career and how Miami is now, and playing at a spot like an 11 or whatever? Do you feel that it's more competitive? Do you feel that you still have like an edge in certain, rooms versus other guys?
I don't know if this is a great question to ask, because my answer is going to be a little dumpy. The marketplace doesn't really care about talent, not just Miami, but just in general.
No, you're right.
So, like, do I think I have an edge? Maybe in brand recognition and name, but that's sometimes not enough to overcome the relationships that might be built on the back end. So I'm not a super personable individual. Like, I'm not going to call people and be like, hey man, how are you? And how you been? Oh yeah, dude. And I don't drink when I work. So already I'm at a deficit when it comes to being, a social individual. So the only thing that I do have still is brand recognition, name recognition, and the fact that when I play music, I'm probably going to be top 3 ever that has played that venue. And that's obviously, in my opinion, sounds a little braggadocious, but I'm being like completely honest. That's what if I'm not top 3, then I feel like I would be doing something wrong and I need to do something else. So that's just how I would like to think of it. But even that in itself is not enough to have people being like, oh yeah, like, for a perfect example, a booker with a lot of booking power down here who oversees multiple slots at different places. And he came up to me at the end of the night after I played. I opened and closed for an act, and he's like, you're probably the best open format DJ in the country. Told me that to my, he's like, don't let it get to your head. But it's like, and he goes, and I sent it, and I was like, dude, you don't know how much that means to me. Thank you so much. He's like, I even sent it in the owner chat, and he shows me the phone. So he's sent it to all the owners, and I go, wow, thank you so much. And I really needed that, because in my mind, I was like, why am I not booked here and the other venues or the other slots that you have more frequently? It's like, I feel like I do really good work.
Yeah.
Why am I not there more often? And the fact that he told me, he's like, you're probably the best. Basically, everything I was like, okay, it doesn't matter, because there's promoters, and then there's other owners, and then there's what ownership wants to do, and then there's the commitment to this, and then there's the early party to that, and the after party to this, and the artist that's coming in, and then the other thing, and then the 17 other people that have a say at some other thing. So, like, to me, that I needed that confidence boost, because obviously, I mean, being an artist, as we all sometimes we get like, do we still have it? Are we still there? But hearing that specific thing from this specific person was amazing, for more than the ego boost. It was amazing because it was like, even being in this person's eyes, like, really good. It's like I have maybe once a month at the venues that he's got.
Yeah.
He's got multiple.
Well, I gotta ask, who's number 2 and 3 if you're number 1?
Oh, that's up to the market to decide. I would. Maybe I'm not number 1. Maybe on any given night, you know what? I don't know. I feel weird now having said that. Sorry.
No, I'm just messing around. You got to have
I
the
actually
confidence in yourself, though. Like you have to be in this business, and if you don't, stand behind what you're doing, because you are your brand, and if you don't stand behind it, what is it to, what is it then? What do you have?
I think it is everything you said about all the promoters, and there's so many hands in the pot of how are they bringing people and all this other stuff, and it really just throws out the window of who is the best or who even fits the room the best. We almost need to bring it back to the very beginning of what you said and start having Eve and Ludacris just celebrity hosts. I think, and then just put good DJs in rooms. I think that would change everything. That would be the move.
I don't think we're going back.
Yeah, the more, it's just changed, and it's forever going to be changed in, terms of, oh, you bring people here? Cool. I mean, that's what it is. The idea of talent and having a good product has kind of like gone out the window some, as long as the people are showing up. If you look at like the Island Boys, going viral, and then they were like at Live like the next weekend, and they fucking were terrible. But that just shows you like they took advantage of they saw the opportunity of, we can take these guys and put them in here real quick, and
I do love your creativity and a lot of the stuff you played. For a while there, you were showcasing and giving out all of your actual tricks on how you were doing all your routines and everything. Is there any possibility you're going to bring that back? Was that successful for you? Because
it never went away. Sorry to cut you off. It never went away.
Okay.
I have
I guess I just didn't notice.
I have a
Okay,
Patreon, and so on my Patreon, I put up all the edits that I make. So when I download music and I'm like, oh, I'm going to play this, I'm going to play that, I'm going to play this, I would make my edits, put them in my Serato, tag them, get them ready for the night. Now I add an extra step and put it on the Patreon. So everyone that wants to play the exact things, sometimes they probably get to play it before I do. Because if I get on at 12:30 at night, there might be DJs playing at 9:30, 10 o'clock somewhere else in the world where they download the edits and I haven't even played them yet. There might be people playing, the things that I make, which I don't put up things that are like, that I wouldn't play. It's not like, oh, here's this song that just came out, maybe it'll work. It's like, no, if it's on there, it's going to kill. Or it's got a place in my set at some point in time, which is why I take the work to put it into an edit and basically tailoring for what I need. What you're describing is something that I did whenever I have a routine. I basically will create the MP3 and set it up how I want it. And then I would put it on Patreon. Like, this is how I did it. This is this first piece. Drop the bass, bring up the volume, bring it over, hit this cue point, do this over there, and then you hit this other thing, and then move over there. And I basically, the best that I can describe it to you was that when I first started the Patreon, my idea was magic shop. When you go to a magic shop, you buy a card trick, right? So
like best analogy ever. It's so good.
you get a pack of cards, and they say, this is how you do it. You fan them open, then you have to move your thumb up this way, and then the trick comes out, and then bam, you're a magician, right? So it's the same thing. What I have is, I got your pack of cards, which is 2 different MP3s, and it might not be a routine. It could be like, oh, I'm playing this song after this song because this has a break here, and then this is what I do: drop the bass, bring up the volume, fade out slowly, hit the cue point, bam, and you're done. So it's basically, I'm giving magic tricks for people that want to practice magic, but it's turntable stuff.
It's so good.
I think that's great. One of the other things we wanted to talk about, and you talked about it a little bit, is your management company. Is there any other goals that you have with starting that that you can talk about?
Yeah,
without giving away the farm.
Yeah. So the goal was to create something in the marketplace that people can get excited about. Looking at the spectrum of existing managements, there hasn't really been anything new on a national scale that's been like, wow, look at that, that's amazing. Not to take away from anything that's already existing. Everyone is making their money. Everyone's going through their regular things, and it's awesome. And a lot of people are working, and it's working for them what they're doing. But there hasn't been that new thing. And you mentioned part of the market right now is, look at the Island Boys. Woo, the new thing. Let's book them. When's the last time something new came up when it comes up to management? Right. The last one I might have had a little bit of help building, and it took a couple years. Right. But this one, Um, this one is something that is not just going to be like a booking agency. It's going to be something that's beneficial to all DJs. And the idea came when in January, I got a cold DM from a venue. It's like, hey, do you want to play our spot? And I go, yeah, of course. That's what I do. let's get this done. And
Sign the papers. Let's go.
and then they said the gig's in August, and this was January. So I go, well, do you have anything sooner? Because that's pretty far out. It's like, yeah, we have something in this month earlier on. And I looked, and that was like the only time I was booked, like in that month that they mentioned. And then I thought of my buddy DJ Booza in Vegas, and I go, yo, Booza. I immediately text him. I'm like, yo, Booza, this spot over here, paying this much. Are you interested? He goes, yeah. I go, all right, hit up this person. I'm going to tell them that I'm going to link up the whole thing. So I say, hey, I'm not available for that day, but can I recommend someone that I think will work really well? And then they go, yeah, of course. I send them Booza, and they go, wow, this looks really good. Booza signs on, gets his deposit. And now we basically locked up the 2 dates that I opened for the whole year. And then I thought to myself, I'm not on a management company right now. I need a team, because this happens frequently, and I need to be able to put in the people that I trust and that I know that if I vouch for them, because to me, my reputation in the marketplace is very important. As you guys know, it's a very small market, and if you fuck something up, you're going to be known as the guy that fucks something up. So what I want is when I present someone and I go, hey, I vouch, this is going to be good, it has to be flawless. Because I never want them to go, yeah, it wasn't that good. Because now I'm dead in the water to those people. It's like, I could tell them, oh, the red lights are good, but maybe you should try blue. And they'll be like, yeah, this guy has bad ideas all the time. So, so to me, I needed a group of people that I trusted. And what I did is I basically handpicked the guys that I wanted to work with, and they all signed up. Immediately, what I did is right off rip, I can tell you this much too, is we basically brokered percentages for everybody. I said, regardless of what the company does moving forward, everyone's going to get this much, from merch sales, from signups, from subscriptions, from anything that this umbrella does, like company wise, you guys, as long as you're part of it, you guys are getting this much revenue. And that was not asked for by them. That's another thing that to me is kind of important. Like whenever I'm making a decision or we make a decision as a unit for specific things that might be in the future regarding money or equity or anything like that, I want it to be more of an addition than a subtraction for everyone involved. And I think that there aren't many management companies that might think that way, because they are obviously looking after their lifeblood, which is money, and not a knock on them at all, because all businesses have to take care of their money, because if not, they cease to exist, right? But the beautiful part about this is the guys that I kind of picked had already enough things going on to where this is just an addition and a bonus. And having built a specific management company before and pushed one to the national spotlight to the point where it was like, wow, these guys are really doing it. I kind of know what it takes.
I just want to compliment you on just being business savvy and, forward thinking. Is this something you went to school for, or just a lot of books? I mean, I really like the way you're presenting a lot of this stuff. I'm impressed.
I appreciate it. Thank you. No, man, I was a C student. And when I found out that you could graduate high school with a 2.0, it was my goal to graduate high school with a 2.0. Because I thought to myself, you're telling me that I could get a 4.0 and do twice the work, or graduate with a 2.0 and do half the work. It's like, what's my incentive here? I never found, I was never incentivized by good grades or by reading. At this point in my life, it's a little bit, it's embarrassing to say this, but I might have read like one book cover to cover my whole life. So that's not to say that
I've read a ton of movies. I said I've read a ton of movies in my life.
I definitely have listened to a lot of audiobooks, and I like to educate myself on the things that I find interesting. And there are a lot of books that I have, skimmed through, read a couple pages here and there. But no, I think what you're describing is something that I've found throughout my life is I don't like expending energy unless it's going to give me a return. If the point is specifically in business, if the point is for a return, then what is the leanest way from point A to point B? There's other things in life for sure. Like there might be a weekend where I have the family and everyone can go to a thing, and I have a gig and they're like, hey, you want to work? And I'm going to go, nah, I'm not working. I'm going to go hang out with my family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not always about the dollar, but when it is about the dollar, I find that streamlining and creating the least resistance is the most beneficial, because it creates the least amount of stress. It presents the most amount of opportunity. And when you're like, you're airy and you're fun and you're bright, people want to be around you and they want to work with you. Like, for example, somebody canceled a gig on me like the week of recently. And I was like, no problem. I get it, man. Things happen. Keep me in mind if it comes back up. If something changes, let me know. And this actually happened. The week of, they're like, oh, promoters are taking over Friday. You don't have this anymore. I go, okay. Well, if anything changes, let me know. In that moment, what I could have said, and this is something I described on the podcast as well, which is on Spotify and iTunes and everywhere you can get podcasts. Just search for My Favorite DJ. I could have told that booker in that moment, I could have said, buddy, you got a lot of nerve calling me on Monday, canceling my Friday gig. This is not good. I'm going to invoice and I want my check. Could have said that. Would I have been in my rights to say that? I think so. Especially something that I had on the books for a couple of weeks. I decided to not do that. And 2 weeks later, when the promoters dropped out, I got the first phone call. Yeah. So what did I do in that moment? I traded that one Friday check for all the Friday checks I've been making since those promoters left. And I think
right. Yeah.
Wise words. Good to, yeah. I think it's good. We don't want to waste, not waste, but we don't want to take too much of your time.
I would like to ask about, do we have a little travel tip? You traveled so much, and I was just wondering, maybe you could give us a couple travel pointers.
Oh, I would love to.
Do we have a video, Fuse, or no? You cut it?
We do. It's an old video. It's a great one. All right, I'll play it. Here we go.
I wanna fly away.
Travel hacks.
Just
all the production budget is spent on these videos. If you can't tell,
I love that one. That was great. It was a nice swerve at the end.
That was me singing, so you know.
I thought it was Lenny Kravitz.
I've been traveling, so I did the opposite of you. I started traveling during pandemic because I was forced into it, and you stopped traveling. But I know how much you were traveling, and we do have guests on here that want to learn efficiency of traveling, or just like any kind of tips and tricks that you might have picked up over the time, or just anything you want to bless the audience with.
I had an idea many years ago that I never followed through with. I would like to get your feedback on, if you think it should be a project that I should follow through with. But it's a coffee table book the size of a passport, okay? And the front of it says tips for the traveling DJ, and it's spray painted on top of what looks like a passport. And inside, it's basically like a coffee table book, and not a lot of text, but every page would be like 5 or 6 different tips that are single lines. And I have a lot of it written down here somewhere in my computer. I just never really pressed on it. And now that the market's kind of messed up, I don't even think it would be worth it. But the only reason why I bring it up is because you said there's lots of people that are interested in travel tips. Mm-hmm. Number one, always take the first flight out. It doesn't matter what you're doing or where you're going. I don't care. It's the first one. I don't love particularly flying at night. So what I'll do is I'll pick the first one that's closest to sunrise. So 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Specifically, why? Well, because the first thing is, if you have status with the airline, just thinking from an egotistical spot here, you're probably more likely to get upgraded because less people are going to wake up, less people are going to make it, less people are going to be on that flight because it's such a pain in the butt to wake up at 5 a.m. for a 7 or wake up at 4:30 or earlier for a 6. Second thing is weather is slightly better, at least in South Florida in the morning. It's not as hot. The atmospheric conditions aren't what they are in the afternoon. We always get afternoon showers. So weather delays are less likely unless you have a storm system moving through. If you happen to run into some sort of a delay throughout the day or on that first flight, you have options. You can get anywhere in the United States in about 5 or 6 hours. But if your flight at 4 o'clock from Miami to Vegas or to Los Angeles gets delayed to 8, you're probably missing your gig. But if you get on that 7 a.m. and you get delayed to noon, you're still making it. And there's been times where I guess this blends into the second tip. If you're waiting for a flight and it gets delayed for 15 minutes, no problem. And then that 15 turns into 30, turns into 45, turns into an hour. Start asking questions. It's like, is this mechanical? If it's not weather related, you should have weather apps on your phone and be able to see where you're going and where you're at. If it's not weather related and it's mechanical, then I would start immediately after about an hour. I start looking for the next flight out of that airport to the place I'm going to. And what I do is I might call and say, hey, I was on the 7 a.m. from Miami to Boston. It's delayed an hour for mechanical. Put me on the 9 a.m. Put me on the 10:30 a.m. Because now I'm going to a whole different plane. And what I'm doing is I'm hedging my bet that the plane that I was going to be on might not take off in time or might have a maintenance issue that's going to take too long. So that's why the first flight out is the most important thing.
Well, something I want to add to that, and I 100% agree with you. It's words that I live by. But something that happened to me is I was flying out. Say I'm in LA, and we have about 5 airports, and I was flying out of a smaller airport, and I basically got screwed because they only had 2 flights out. So I've been flying out of the biggest airport just to any mechanical stuff. I feel like gets fixed a lot faster as well.
Well, yeah. That's being in South Florida. I have two options: Miami or Fort Lauderdale. And for example, did you guys not see on the news how Fort Lauderdale Airport was like underwater a week ago or 2 weeks ago, something like that?
Yeah.
I was watching the weather that day. I was watching airplanes get basically turned away from the airport. I was like following and like watching the weather. I was like, damn, it must suck to be up there right now. And people were getting diverted to Fort Myers, which is 20 minutes on an airplane, but about 2 hours if you drive.
No, and so those are the 2 tips. And if you want to hold tight on that passport, I would say like that passport idea, in all honesty, that could be a fantastic stocking stuffer. And I'm being real. If you like finished it out, you were talking about merch for my favorite DJ, and you put that on there as like a little stocking stuffer. I think it would sell.
That's not a bad idea. I should probably what I need to do with that project. I need to delegate responsibility to somebody that like can do it and just give up a percentage and be like, hey, let's follow through. Here's the content. Here's the info. Figure out the pressing. Figure out the printing. Figure out XYZ, and you can take half the money.
Yeah, totally. One of the last things that we like to do is we call it the sauce. We're going to play this video, and it's kind of the final takeaway for the show. Any advice you'd tell your younger self, anything that you might have done different along the way, any plans for the future. So think about that. We'll run this, and then we'll get to it.
The name is Bootsy, baby. And this shout out goes out to Drew and Fuse, all the way from Cincinnati to the LBC Bobble. Yeah, I was told you guys are quite the chefs, and you got a delicious sauce that you cooked up. Ooh, and it drips that swagoo and breaks down the recipe. Yeah, and you giving up the pig, cause it's funky. As in good, that is, finger funkin' good. On the one by the power of the one. Yeah, without that, there is none. So get yours and be in tune with the one that loves you. Get it, baby.
All right. There's Bootsy. He wants to know the recipe.
So, takeaways? Is that what we're doing?
Sure.
Yeah.
Or advice I would tell my younger self?
Either or both.
Okay.
Anything that you got away from what Bootsy said.
I mean, I was hypnotized. He could have kept talking. The cadence was incredible. I didn't know when it was going to stop, and it just kept going. And a little more. And I thought we were done, but then it kept going.
It's kind of the beauty about Bootsy.
Not in a bad way at all. It was very hypnotic. So I don't know. I think I want to be like super positive with it, but at the same time I want to hedge. And that's the theme for the piece of advice. You can't make it far in the business that we're in if you're not like all into it. At the same time, you can't do this forever. It's not a way to make a life. it's a way to make a living. So you have to, at some point, once you've reached your 100% into this DJ stuff and you're doing the best that you can and you're putting in all the work, and once you have traction and once the train is out of the station and you're actually moving forward, at that time is when you actually have to start putting firewood away from that train's engine and into the other one, which is what happens after. And it's kind of it's a catch-22, and it's a little difficult to understand, but the best way to explain it is a good way to make a living, but not a way to make a life. At some point, that train gets to the station, whether you want it to or not. The marketplace will force you out, or something happens and you will get pushed out. So the best thing for you to do is, once that train is moving, is say, okay, what else? What else can I do? What can I hedge? Where can I park some of my money? Should I buy an apartment? Should I invest in the stock market? Should I invest into my uncle's tire business? Does my family have something that I can put into? Don't just go all in and stay all in, because that eventually your chips will be depleted. Sucks to say that and sucks to hear that, because I put everything into this, as I'm sure you guys have, for a lot of years. But what you realize is that everything comes to an end. And maybe, you know what? I'm romantically attached to what we do because I love it so much. But this goes for any sort of thing that isn't a lifelong career, like doctor or lawyer, and even some of those, right? You can't do certain things that involve youth and contemporary art forever, because at some point you're the old guy in the room.
I agree with you, and I want to disagree with you at the same time.
Now here,
The reason why I want to just disagree just this much is because I feel like we're on a weird front. One, we're on a lot of DJs have never seen this age, right? We don't know. DJs never knew that you can make a real career out of this. And now we have DJs that are our age or who are still like actually forging a real career. So there's that. The second reason I want to disagree just a little bit is I don't know that the youngins are ever able to see, unless you do serious homework, that amount of music our music knowledge. I just don't know that it's ever really capable. So I think as long as you're willing to still push forward and learn the ice spices and that it works and be okay with it, that it's just different. I think that we're still willing to put it into it, and even though people see age, it doesn't mean everything if you're good.
I'm not going to argue that point, because I can't, because I think that you do have a lot of strength with what you presented. I think that you are right in a lot of ways as well. I guess I was just maybe looking at it from like more of a binary, like black or white, like you're either on or off kind of thing. You're right. There's a lot of intangibles and unknowables, specifically because the paths that we're forging haven't been forged before. I would say that if there's a possibility that the marketplace would spit you out at some point for any sort of reason, whether it be age, whether it be falling off, whether it be not understanding the ice spices, whether it be promoters get to call their shots more so and they get to place the music. If any of those possibilities exist, I still stand by my piece of advice, which is you should have some chips on the side.
I 100% agree. That's why I said I didn't disagree. I was just saying with half of it, I think we're still forging a new era as far as like open format DJs. And I was just talking with somebody recently, and I think a lot of the open format DJs of our era loved every single piece of music. We love oldies, we love new, it doesn't matter, right? And a lot of the new up and coming DJs got their umph or their like inspiration from Earhart's and Twisting Knobs, right? It was just like that EDM era. It wasn't the same love that we came from music, right? So just being able to know music in depth, I think, gives you more of a longevity, but always have your out. And so I think everything that you're saying is true as well. Have your out.
Counterpoint to what you mentioned, the finger knobs. The finger knobs and the turning hearts. The finger knobs and turning hearts. The finger hearts and knob turners of today are, I would say, on the par of the backpack hip hoppers, kind of like what I followed in the late 90s, right?
Facts.
Like I didn't hear Bon Jovi until I was in my early 20s. All of the funk music and all the stuff that I recognize now, I was like, damn, that's good stuff. I didn't recognize it when I was younger, but eventually the beauty of art, and this is an example I use frequently, is you can have a print of the Mona Lisa in your house, but no one's going to pay admission to go see it. They go see the real shit in France, right? At the Louvre, which I'm guessing it's there. Hopefully I'm not mistaken on
It's
that.
there. I was
But
just there.
Okay, well, you pay admission to get into the museum to see the real thing, because that real piece of art commands something to your subconscious, and it's like, hey, look at me. And that's what the music that we enjoy now does as well. So the finger hearts and knob turners are just the backpackers of our time. Eventually, if they stay in it for long enough, they're going to be like, we need to get the real shit. And I think we just got to give them enough time to find that. At the same time, I think you're right, because the advent of technology has decreased their necessity for perseverance. And when you're in a hustle like we are, like still to this day, right? With everything that I've done, with everything that I've accomplished, and I'm sure you guys are on the same boat. If I don't hit up a promoter and I'm like, yo, I'm free this day for next month, can I get this Friday or Saturday? I'm not working. Like, my phone is not off the hook because they think that I'm some kind of magician, giving out magic tricks. Like, nah, man.
Wait, look at that callback. It's so good right there. I love it.
I think with advancements in modern medicine and the way Botox is going, I'm going to stay looking this pretty for a long time. And I think same for both of you. So I think we got some longevity in this. But I think it's important, as you said, to essentially just to be good at DJing. You have to 100% have to commit to it. Like you said, you have to be consumed by it. And once you get to that point, I think it's important, as you mentioned, to start putting eggs in other baskets, because, that's how you keep evolving as a person and your business and everything, So I agree with a lot of that.
This has been I loved this episode so much, dude. So much good stuff on it. You want to tell everybody where to follow you and where to look out for the up and coming management company and all that good stuff? And
so the social media platforms are all Instagram.com/myfavoritedj, Twitter.com/myfavoritedj, or just @myfavoritedj on those two. The Patreon is patreon.com/myfavoritedj. So if you guys are interested in the music stuff, that's where that's at. The agency is myfavoritedj.agency, and the website's not up yet. It's in development. It's just, we got a holding page there for now. And that's going to, again, launch sometime in June. And anyone and everyone that's interested will have a place on the agency. And I'm very excited about that.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it too. Yeah, I'm excited to see what you're bringing. I've always enjoyed you and your DJing and all of that. And yeah, we appreciate you taking the time to be here and chat with us a little bit today.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right.
Yeah.
Until next time, that's going to wrap it up. We'll talk to you guys later. See ya.